All right, desoldering tips. First off, before we jump into these, let's identify what is that's going on. When things are in a line, through hole, two pieces, anything in a straight line, people don't have trouble with, no matter how many of them it does. A lot of times you can creatively angle the iron, do whatever you need to get it situated so that you can pull the thing out from the back. What happens is a lot of times when there's another leg of the component thrown in, or maybe some structural support or something that gets soldered into the board and it's not in a straight line, you break this one loose, and you go over. By the time you heat these up, this one's back again, right? So you just can't get it. So the first thing I would suggest, try using 2 irons, right? If you've got 2 irons, another hand, helpful hand, whatever, a lot of times 2 irons, you can bust the one loose, and then as you get this, boom, it's just enough time so that that one doesn't cool off. If you can, use a third hand or whatever to help that to bust it loose. Third iron. Then next thing is, a lot of times, like especially with power jacks on laptops and that, a lot of times they have a large component. The whole jack is soldered in there in a couple of different spots. It's structurally big to support it. And so what you can do is, if you don't need that, you can go through, use your flush cuts and maybe knock off a leg to make the problem easier for you, right? If you cut off some of those legs, you can remove the legs individually, and then you can take the whole component and remove it. There's no reward or award for not using any additional external solder. There's all these little gizmos, solder suckers, and great, but a lot of times what you need is just external solder to heat up the mass to get it going. So if you don't have it yet, fast chip, quick chip, I think is another one. But the point is, it melts low, it stays hot, and then be strategic about your joint. Let's say that this is what we were up against, right? So what happens is you break this one loose, and then you go over and you start getting this loose, and then by the time this is done, this one's cooled off again, and so you're bouncing around, you just can't get it, right? So no, group this whole thing together with a bunch of that hot solder or whatever, the low melting point stuff, bust all this loose, then go bust this one and this one quick, right? Because this one, by the time you get this one done, this is always going to be the long leg of the pole, right? So you do that one first, it retains heat the longest, bust these other ones, loose, and then get it out. And you might need to insert something underneath it to pry it or that, but be strategic, think through, however the layout is of your thing to retain heat the longest, because ultimately that's all it is, right? It's a mechanical problem. Just individually, each one of these, if you put enough heat on there at the right time, you could pull whatever's behind it out, right? It's the combination of all of them together that causes the problem. That's why, like I said, either get, the quick chip stuff or that, or see if you can, cut the leads or do all of it, right? You can do all 3 of those put together, quick chip, whatever. So, all right, good luck. I hope that helps.